Friends, thank you for joining us as we continue in our reading of the book of Ecclesiasticus this morning. So let's start, as we always do, by taking a look at the big picture. There it is. We are, probably somewhere middle of chapter 40. Which means we are in the second set of collected teachings. We'll be there for a couple more chapters. We've been there for a while. We started at chapter 25. It goes through chapter 43. So there's 3 more chapters after this current one in this section of collected teachings. These collected teachings, they're interesting. Proverbs. Normally you think wisdom when you think Proverbs. Well, if you're a woman or a slave, maybe not so much. I'll be reading from the left-hand column, which is the Common English Bible. In the right-hand column, you see the text as it is found in the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition, which I may or may not reference or use as a comparison. It might just simply be a silent witness comparison there. Good morning, Mom. Let's read, friends. Good morning, Audrey. Chapter 40, verse 18. That's our resumption point this morning. Life will be sweet for the self-reliant and the hard-working. But better than both is the person who finds a treasure. Children and building a city establish one's name. But better than both is a wife who is considered blameless. Wine and music make the heart glad, but better than both is the love of wisdom. A flute and a harp make sweet melodies, but better than both is a pleasant voice. The eye will desire grace and beauty, but better than both are the first shots of a crop. A friend and a companion encounter each other at an appropriate moment. But better than both is a woman with her husband. Relatives and help in a time of distress are good, but acts of charity will rescue one better than both. Gold and silver make one stand firm, but more highly esteemed than both is good advice. Money and strength will lift up one's heart, but fearing the Lord is better than both. If you fear the Lord, you'll lack nothing. If you have it, there's no reason to look for help. Fear of the Lord is like an orchard of blessing, and it covers a person more fully than any glory. My child, don't live the life of a beggar. It's better to die than to beg. When people look to one another to another person's table, their way of life cannot be considered a life. They pollute themselves by eating someone else's food, but a person who is intelligent and educated will guard against that. In the mouth of the shameless, begging is sweet, but a fire will burn inside of them. How bitter death is the thought of you, to those who are at peace among their possessions, to those who aren't easily anxiously distracted, who prosper at everything and still have the strength to enjoy good food. Your sentence looks good, death, to a person who is needy and lacks strength, and who is extremely old and anxious about everything, who is not compliant, and whose endurance has failed. Don't fear death's judgment. Remember those who came before you and those who will come after you. This is the Lord's judgment for all beings. Why should you reject the good pleasure of the Most High? Whether 10 or 100 or 1,000 years, there's no arguing about life in the grave. The children of sinners are detestable, and they live together in the neighborhoods of the ungodly. The inheritance of sinners' children will be destroyed, and their offspring will always live in disgrace. Children will blame an ungodly father because they will be disgraced because of him. How terrible it will be for you who are ungodly, who have abandoned the law of the Most High. When you are born to a curse. And when you die, you will leave a curse as your legacy. Everything that's from the earth will go back to the earth. So the ungodly come from a curse and go to destruction. Human beings show their grief in their bodies, but the no good name of sinners will be erased. Guard your reputation, for it will continue after you longer than 1,000 great treasures of gold. A good life has a limited number of days, but a good name will continue forever. Hold on to your education in peace, my children. Hidden wisdom and an invisible treasure. Of what use is either? People who hide their foolishness are better than people who hide their wisdom. Therefore, respect my judgment, because it isn't good to guard against every shame, and not everyone in good faith holds all the same things in good repute. Be ashamed of sexual immorality before your father and mother, of lying before a prince or leader, of error before a judge and an official, of lawlessness before the assembly and the people, of injustice before a partner and friend, of theft in the neighborhood where you are staying. Be ashamed before the Lord's truth and covenant, of leaning on your elbows at meals, of showing contempt when receiving or giving, of silence when people greet you, of looking at a female escort, of turning away a relative, of depriving someone of a share or a gift, of staring at another man's wife, of fooling around with his female servant, and don't get near her bed, of reproachful words before friends, and don't criticize after you give, of repeating gossip, and of revealing secrets. Then you will be truly modest and find favor with every human being. Don't be ashamed of these things, and don't show favoritism so that you sin. Don't be ashamed of the law of the Most High or the covenant of a just verdict in favor of an ungodly person, of keeping a record with expenses with a partner or a traveling companion, of disturbing an inheritance to others, of distributing an inheritance to others, of accuracy with scales and weights, of acquiring a lot or a little, of profit from business with merchants, of frequent discipline of children, and of whipping wicked household slaves until they bleed. Oh, isn't that nice? In the case of a wicked wife, using your seal on your documents and supplies is an excellent idea. And lock up things anywhere there are lots of hands. Whatever you deposit, whether by number or weight, and whatever you give or receive, put everything in writing. Don't be ashamed of discipline for the stupid, and foolish for the old codger who is guilty of sexual immorality. Then you will have been truly educated and approved by everyone alive. Old codger, that's an interesting one. I've not sure I've ever come across that before. NRSV just simply puts it as the aged. Interesting. Well, friends, next time we will pick up there at verse 9, right down here. Good morning, Linda. Friends, thank you for joining us as we have read this morning. Peace be with you always, dear friends.